there was a question posted on YouTube, starting with a quote of yours. Everything that we experience is nothing but a projector for vasanas. Okay. And then another quote of yours. Whatever we experience is prarabdha, God's will. So then the question is, taken from previous videos, they are different statements. So they both inflict experience?
When Bhagavan explained this, he often used the analogy of a cinema projector. So our vasanas are like the images on the film reel. So whatever we see outside, all the vishayas, all the phenomena, are nothing but a projection of our vasanas. However, though everything we experience is a projection of our vasanas, just like everything is seen on a cinema screen is a projection of the images on the film reel. The film was edited by God. So which images appear on the film reel, namely the prarabdha, of each life is selected by him and therefore his will. So these two statements that this person quoted seem superficially, they seem to be in conflict, because everything we experience is nothing but a projection of our vasanas. Our vasanas are our will. But if we also say whatever we experience is prarabdha, which is God's will, there seems to be a conflict there. But if we understand it in terms of this analogy that Bhagavan gave, it is clear. That is, all phenomena appear, all phenomena are a projection of our vasanas. But the vasanas are like the images on the film reel. And the film reel, in other words, which vasanas will be projected as which images, which will be projected as which experiences, is determined by God. So if we had no vasanas, vasanas are our inclinations, vishaya vasanas, that's the inclinations to experience vishayas. If we had no vishaya vasanas, there would be no projection at all. But since we have vishaya vasanas, God has control over which vasana should be projected as the world. So in other words, whatever is given to us to experience is in the hands of God. Though it's all a projection of our vasanas, it's in the hands of God, because he decides what we should experience. And what we experience is all the fruit of our past karmas. So the fruit of our past karmas that we are now experiencing are a projection of our vasanas, but they're in the hands of God. But at the same time that we're experiencing this prarabdha, what is given to us to experience, we have, because of our vasanas, we have likes, dislikes, desires, attachments, and so on. So because we have these vasanas, there are things we want to experience and things we don't want to experience. Because we want to experience certain things, we make effort, we do actions in order to experience those things. And because we want to avoid other things, we do actions to try to avoid them. But what we have to experience in this lifetime, we will experience. That is already, as Bhagavan said, what is never to happen will not happen in spite of any amount of effort. This is in the note that he wrote for his mother. Endrum naduvadadu, envechikanam naduvadu. When he says envechikanam, that means no matter how much effort, that implies that we have the freedom to like to avoid what is happening and to try to avoid what is happening. But however much we want to avoid it and try to avoid it, if it's destined to happen, it's going to happen. We cannot avoid it. Likewise, in the next sentence, he says, Nadapadu entadesayanum niladu. What is to happen will not stop in spite of any amount of obstacle. So we can want to avoid things and try to avoid things, but we cannot avoid them if they are destined. So what we are not destined to experience, we will not experience, however much we want to experience it and try to experience it. What is to happen, we cannot avoid experiencing it, however much we want to avoid it and try to avoid it. So some of our vasanas are like the images on the that is, certain vasanas Bhagavan has selected as the images to be put on the film. That is what is projected, that is our prarabdha. But we have so many vasanas. So what is projected is often not what we like. So many things happen to us in our life, but we don't like. We prefer to avoid it. For example, we may suffer from some disease, or we may suffer from bereavement. One of our loved ones may pass away. We would certainly prefer to avoid that, and we can make all sorts of efforts to avoid it. But if it's destined to happen, it's going to happen. So both the prarabdha and the efforts we make to avoid it, all are the seeds of both our efforts and the prarabdha, all are our own vasanas. But whereas the prarabdha is those vasanas that Bhagavan allows to project, because they are the fruit of actions that we've done in the past, under the sway of vasanas. So ultimately it's all a play of vasanas. But God has the controlling hand.